The day she returned a lost dog to a stranger, she had no idea she was returning the one piece of his broken life that still had a heartbeat. She walked away believing she was only helping an animal find its owner, but the man whose dog she saved would spend the next year searching every street, every shelter, and every forgotten corner of the city trying to find the woman who gave him hope when he had almost stopped believing in it. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs a reminder that small acts of love can change lives, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue sharing stories that touch the heart. The morning sun spread across the quiet streets of Maplewood, a small town where people still noticed familiar faces and remembered the kindness of strangers. Among those streets walked a woman named Elodie Bennett, carrying a worn canvas bag over her shoulder and a small notebook filled with sketches. Elodie was the kind of person who quietly helped others without expecting anything in return. She repaired old furniture for families who could not afford new pieces, volunteered at the local animal rescue center, and always believed that every living thing deserved another chance. Her own life had not been easy. A few years earlier, Elodie had lost her mother, the person who taught her that compassion mattered more than comfort. After that loss, she had learned to keep moving forward even when her heart felt heavy. She avoided attention and never stayed anywhere long enough for people to notice her struggles. Helping others was easier than allowing others to help her. Across town, a successful architect named Callum Whitmore was living a life that looked perfect from the outside but felt empty from within. He owned a respected design company, had a beautiful home, and was admired by many people. Yet behind his achievements was a quiet sadness that few knew about. His closest companion was his golden retriever, Hudson, a loyal dog who had stayed beside him through the hardest years of his life. Hudson had arrived when Callum was recovering from the sudden loss of his younger brother. During those painful months, when friends offered sympathy but eventually returned to their own lives, Hudson remained by his side every day. The dog became more than a pet. He became family, a reminder that love could exist even after heartbreak. One bright afternoon, while Callum was visiting a public garden to inspect a future community project, Hudson became frightened by the loud sound of construction nearby. Before Callum could reach him, the dog slipped through an open gate and disappeared into the busy streets. Callum searched for hours under the warm afternoon sun, asking strangers for help and checking every nearby road. As the days passed, his worry grew deeper. He placed lost dog notices around town, contacted rescue centers, and walked through neighborhoods searching for Hudson. People told him to accept that the dog might never return, but Callum refused. Losing Hudson felt like losing the last connection to the person he used to be. Several weeks later, Elodie found a tired golden retriever near a roadside park while she was delivering repaired furniture to an elderly couple. The dog was frightened, hungry, and covered in dirt, but his eyes still carried trust. Elodie brought him water, cleaned his wounds, and spent the afternoon trying to locate his owner. When she discovered the missing dog notices, she felt relieved. The dog finally had a way home. She contacted the owner and arranged to meet in the garden where Hudson had first disappeared. Callum arrived that afternoon expecting to see his dog, but he was not prepared for the feeling that came with seeing Hudson run toward him. The moment his hands touched the dog's fur, the weight of weeks of fear and sadness disappeared. Hudson was safe because of a stranger who had cared enough to stop. Elodie stood a few steps away, quietly watching the reunion. She did not want praise, money, or recognition. She simply wanted the dog to be home. When Callum tried to thank her properly, she gently accepted his gratitude but made it clear that she had only done what anyone should do. Before he could learn more about her, Elodie left. Callum searched for her the next day, but the garden gave him no answers. He asked nearby workers if they knew her, but nobody remembered her name. He checked with local rescue volunteers, hoping someone would recognize the woman who had saved Hudson. Every path led to nothing. At first, he searched because he wanted to thank her. But as weeks turned into months, he realized something deeper had happened. Elodie's simple act of kindness had reminded him of the person he wanted to become. She had helped him without expecting anything, at a time when he had spent years surrounded by people who wanted something from him. Callum began visiting places where he thought he might find her. He donated supplies to animal shelters, not because he wanted attention, but because he wanted to continue the kindness she had shown. He volunteered at community events and quietly supported families who needed help. The search for Elodie became a journey of changing himself. Meanwhile, Elodie had moved to another part of town after receiving an opportunity to restore an old community center. She had no idea that the man whose dog she saved was searching for her. She continued her quiet work, believing that the best kindness was the kind nobody noticed. Nearly a year passed. One spring afternoon, Callum attended a community restoration event at an old building being transformed into a place for children, families, and rescued animals. He had donated materials for the project and decided to visit because he believed places built on kindness deserved support. As he walked through the bright halls filled with sunlight, he noticed a familiar painting hanging near the entrance. It showed a golden retriever standing beside a woman with gentle eyes. The artist had captured something about the dog's spirit that immediately felt familiar. The painting belonged to Elodie. For the first time in a year, Callum saw her again. She was standing outside in the garden area, repairing a wooden bench while children planted flowers nearby. She looked exactly as he remembered, not because of her appearance, but because of the peaceful kindness she carried. Their meeting was not dramatic or perfect. It was simply two people standing in the same place again after life had taken them in different directions. Callum learned that Elodie had spent the past year building something meaningful, creating a space where abandoned animals and lonely people could find comfort. He also learned that Elodie had her own fears. She had spent years believing that staying unnoticed protected her from disappointment. She worried that people only valued her when she was useful, and she had become skilled at leaving before anyone could leave her. Callum understood that feeling more than anyone. He had spent years hiding behind success because admitting loneliness felt like weakness. But meeting Elodie had shown him that true strength came from opening your heart, not protecting it. Their friendship grew slowly. They spent afternoons working on the community center, helping animals find homes, and supporting families who needed kindness. There was no rush, no attempt to create a perfect story. They simply learned to trust each other. Callum eventually admitted that finding her had never been about repaying a favor. It was about finding the person who reminded him that life could still be meaningful after loss. Elodie realized that accepting kindness from someone else did not make her weak. It allowed her to experience the same compassion she had spent years giving away. Months later, the community center opened its doors. Hudson became the unofficial welcome ambassador, greeting every visitor with the same joyful spirit that had brought two strangers together. The place became a symbol that small actions could create enormous changes. People in Maplewood often remembered the story of the woman who returned a lost dog and the man who spent a year searching for her. But the real story was not about a dog or a search. It was about two wounded people who discovered that healing sometimes arrives through the kindness of someone you never expected to meet. Before this story ends, we want to ask you something important. What lesson stayed with you the most? Was it the power of a small act of kindness, the courage to open your heart again, or the hope that someone out there may be searching for a second chance too? Please leave a meaningful comment sharing the emotion or lesson this story gave you. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. And remember, sometimes the smallest kindness we offer can become the greatest gift someone receives. Elodie thought she was only returning a lost dog, but she was actually returning hope to a man who had forgotten what hope felt like. Callum thought he was searching for a stranger, but he was really searching for a reminder that love, compassion, and new beginnings can still find us when we least expect them.